It started at exactly 7:43 a.m. on a Saturday. That was the moment I knew Karen had declared war. I was in my backyard, in my robe, watering my tomatoes. Tommy and the boys, as I like to call them, when I heard the sound of stilettos clacking across the HOA-approved concrete sidewalk. And there she was, Karen, the president of our homeowners association, ruler of laminated newsletters, and self-proclaimed guardian of suburban silence. "Mr. Walker," she called out, arms folded tighter than a TSA agent's stare. "I've had multiple noise complaints about your property." I blinked. Noise. Yes. Thumping bass. Repetitive lyrics. Something about shaking it like a Polaroid picture? I coughed to hide a laugh. "Karen, I was in bed by 10. I didn't even fart after 8:30. She was unamused. "Don't play games with me. I have 3 formal complaints and 1 voice memo from a resident whose poodle hasn't stopped trembling since 2 a.m. I wanted to ask who the snitch was, probably Gladys from across the street with the night vision binoculars, but instead I raised a brow. "Well, maybe your poodle should stop drinking espresso." Karen pulled out her phone. "Consider this an official HOA warning. 1 more violation and we'll fine you. Enjoy your morning." She pivoted like a villain in a soap opera and clacked away. "Here's the thing. I live alone. I don't host parties. I don't own a subwoofer. The loudest thing in my house is my blender, and even that's only when I'm feeling adventurous with kale. So I did what any sensible, falsely accused neighbor would do. I turned detective. That night, I stayed up. No headphones, no white noise, just pure silence and the occasional meow from my cat, Chairman Meow. Around 1:58 a.m., it started. The thumping. The unmistakable beat of early 2000s hip-hop. I could hear it faintly through my window. I slipped on my hoodie and crept outside like a suburban ninja. The music was louder out front, clear lyrics bouncing off the houses like an unwanted karaoke machine on steroids. I followed the sound across my lawn, up Karen's driveway, right up to her front door. And then I saw it. Through her window, on the kitchen counter, sat a glowing blue ring. Her Alexa. It was bouncing like it was possessed, blasting Outkast's "Hey Ya" on full volume. I laughed. I had to. The queen of HOA tranquility was unknowingly throwing a rave in her kitchen. That's when an idea hit me. A glorious, petty, vengeful idea. But first, I needed proof. I pulled out my phone, hit record, and filmed it all. The music, the flashing lights, Karen's garden gnome shaking from the bass. I even whispered commentary like a Discovery Channel host, and here we see the elusive Karen, unaware her robotic servant has betrayed her with bangers. After a solid 2 minutes of footage, I snuck back home, grinning like a kid who just got away with stealing cookies. The next morning, I left a nice little note in Karen's mailbox. "Hey Karen, I found the source of the noise. Thought you'd want to have a word with Alexa. P.S. Great taste in music." Attached was a USB stick labeled Exhibit A. That should have been the end of it. But Karen? Oh, she doesn't go down without a fight. If I thought a friendly USB and a dash of passive aggression would put this feud to bed, I severely underestimated the iron will of a woman who once fined a neighbor for non-regulation wind chimes. The morning after I dropped Exhibit A in her mailbox, I sat on my porch sipping coffee, expecting either a sheepish apology or a begrudging thank you. What I got instead was Karen, marching down the street, clutching a manila folder thick enough to smuggle hamsters. Her heels stabbed at the pavement like she was trying to hurt it. "Mr. Walker," she said, her voice tight enough to snap, "I received your message." "Oh, great. Then you saw the footage?" She ignored that. "The HOA board has reviewed your behavior and decided to escalate the matter." My brow twitched. My behavior? Karen opened the folder with theatrical flair and produced a printed photo frame grabbed from the video I took of her Alexa. "This," she said, "is an unauthorized surveillance of private property. A clear violation of HOA privacy standards." I stared. Karen, that's your window. Playing music. Loudly. That you reported. And you had no right to record it, she snapped. As of today, you're on HOA probation. Probation? She pulled out a hot pink slip of paper. Official warning. Next violation, and we begin fines. Daily. I looked at the slip. It listed made-up violations, unauthorized surveillance, disruptive neighbor behavior, potential hacking of smart devices. You think I hacked your Alexa? Karen leaned in. She never played music like that until you moved in. I took a slow sip of coffee to keep myself from laughing. So your smart speaker has developed a taste for hip-hop out of spite? Her eyes narrowed. I'm watching you, Walker. She turned and stormed back toward her house. That night, I paced my living room, equal parts amused and alarmed. Karen wasn't just annoyed she was out for revenge. A woman like her didn't stop until she'd squeezed the joy out of everyone within a 5-house radius. So I did what any rational person would do when facing suburban tyranny. I called my friend Evan. Evan is a former IT guy turned smart home consultant. The dude once programmed his toaster to send him selfies. He owed me a favor after I helped him move a grand piano during a breakup. I told him about Karen, the false report, the loud Alexa, the escalating war. He was intrigued. Her Alexa's probably picking up audio triggers from a TV or radio. Happens more than people think. I can set up a sound monitor on your porch to track decibel levels. Let's get the data and expose her. By midnight, Evan had rigged a discreet sensor under my mailbox and a motion-activated camera facing the street. No invasion of privacy, just legal surveillance from my own property. We didn't have to wait long. The very next night, around 2:11 a.m., the bass dropped again. The camera caught it all, the house glowing, the windows vibrating, Karen's Alexa once again throwing a party no one was invited to. Evan sent me the audio log the next morning. She's peaking at 87 decibels. That's about the volume of a motorcycle. Indoors. You're not the problem. I knew what I had to do. So I printed out the new logs, screenshots from the camera, and audio waveforms on color-coded paper. Then I stapled them together into a packet titled Karen's Greatest Hits, Volume 2. And I submitted it directly to the HOA board, bypassing her entirely. Let's see how she likes playing defense. 2 days after I handed over Karen's Greatest Hits, Volume 2, to the HOA board, the neighborhood was buzzing. Literally. Karen's Alexa had apparently entered its rock and roll phase and started blasting Queen at 3:00 a.m. The entire cul-de-sac got a front row seat to Bohemian Rhapsody, followed by a dramatic reading of an audiobook called How to Train Difficult Dogs. Coincidence? I think not. But the real fireworks happened at the next HOA meeting. It was held in our community clubhouse, where the air always smelled like expired coffee and regret. Karen sat at the front in her usual spot, flanked by her loyal minions Marge and Philip. I walked in holding a manila folder that said Exhibit B in Comic Sans, because why not be petty with style? The room got quiet when I walked up to the podium. I cleared my throat dramatically. I'd like to begin with a simple statement, I said. I did not, have not, and will never make my tomatoes dance to hip-hop at 2 a.m. That honor belongs to our esteemed HOA president, whose smart speaker has been single-handedly keeping the entire street awake. Karen's jaw clenched so tight I could hear it over the AC. I passed out copies of my sound logs, timestamped screenshots, and a delightful infographic Evan made called Alexa's Greatest Noise Offenses, a timeline. Philip, usually a Karen loyalist, raised an eyebrow. These numbers, 87 decibels? That's like lawnmower loud. And yet, I added cheerfully, she fined me. Karen finally stood, fire practically coming out of her nostrils. This is all fabricated. I believe Mr. Walker has manipulated my Alexa device remotely. which, by the way, is a federal offense. I couldn't help myself. Oh, did Alexa tell you that? Or was it Siri? A couple of people actually snorted. I move, Karen snapped, that Mr. Walker be fined for harassment, data manipulation, and community disruption. Marge, who once got mad at me for leaving my recycling bin out for 3 extra minutes, actually raised her hand. Karen, dear, maybe we should investigate your Alexa situation before accusing anyone of cyber warfare. I tried not to laugh. Marge was doubting her? The tides were shifting. I also found this, I said, pulling out the piece de resistance clip from Evan's camera showing Karen stumbling into her kitchen in a robe, yelling Alexa. Shut up, while baby got back, thumped behind her like the walls were made of subwoofers. I played the clip. Karen lunged for the podium. I stepped back. Hey, I'm just trying to help you fix your clearly possessed robot. The board decided to table any further action until they investigated potential malfunctions of the HOA president's personal devices. Translation, Karen was officially on noise watch. That night, I found a handwritten note shoved under my door. You may have won this round, but I'm not done. K. I tacked it to my fridge like a trophy. She was rattled. But Karen was the kind of villain who didn't retreat quietly. And the next morning, a big, shiny for sale sign showed up on my lawn with a sticker that read, HOA approved eviction process in motion. She was escalating. Game on, Karen. The fake for sale sign on my lawn was Pete Karen. Bold, unnecessary, and entirely illegal. She even had the audacity to slap a sticker on it that said, HOA endorsed. Classy. But what Karen didn't know was that my friend Jen, our real estate agent neighbor and a certified gossip, missile snapped a picture of her planting the sign at 5:43 a.m. Jen's camera caught everything. Karen, in a neon pink windbreaker, hammering the stake like she was laying down the law of the land. Girl, Jen said as she handed me the footage, this woman is begging for karma. Oh, she was gonna get it. I just needed the perfect opportunity. Enter the annual HOA Neighborhood Bake-Off, a sacred event in our little HOA-ruled neighborhood. Karen organized it every year, turned it into a social ladder climb, and used it to flaunt her overpriced gluten-free rhubarb tart. I had never participated before. But this year? Oh, I signed up. And I didn't come to play. I baked revenge muffins. Moist, cinnamon-filled delights with cream cheese centers and tiny edible QR codes printed on rice paper and stuck on top like fancy decoration. What did the QR codes link to? Oh, just a little compilation video Evan and I put together titled Karen's Greatest Noise Violations, Alexa Remix. Footage. Sound locks. Her yelling at her smart speaker. The whole collection set to the tune of Can't Touch This. Because irony. I walked into the community center with a smug grin and a muffin tray. Karen was already there, setting up her usual pastel-colored dessert table like she was about to cater a royal wedding. She saw me and fake smiled. Oh, Mr. Walker. I didn't know you baked. I smiled back, only when inspired by great material. The judging panel included 3 board retirees and the HOA's treasurer, Miss Evelyn, a 92-year-old sweetheart who once called Karen a controlling blender in heels. By the time my muffins made it to the panel, 3 of the judges had already scanned the QR code just out of curiosity. It took all of 5 seconds for the audio of Karen's Alexa blaring WAP to echo across the bake-off room. Oh my heavens, Miss Evelyn whispered, dabbing her ears with a napkin. Is that her house? Everyone turned. Karen's face turned the color of uncooked salmon. That's taken out of context, she shrieked. Someone in the back muttered, how do you take Cardi B at 3 a.m. out of context? I took a small bow. I just wanted to bake something that told a story. Karen grabbed her rhubarb tart and stormed out. Evan, watching from the snack table, handed me a Diet Coke like it was a championship trophy. You're not just winning, he said. You're baking circles around her soul. The fallout came swiftly. The HOA board met in emergency session after the QR muffins went viral in our neighborhood Facebook group. Apparently, even Marge commented, "Well, that's one way to serve justice." Karen tried to rally support by claiming harassment. But at this point, she'd weaponized Alexa, falsified HOA forms, and planted a fake for sale sign on my lawn. The board wasn't buying it. They issued her a formal HOA citation. Her first ever. I laminated the copy Jen secretly gave me and hung it on my wall under the heading, "The Day Karen Lost Her Crown." But the queen of drama doesn't go down without one last act. And sure enough, 3 days later, I woke up to the sound of a moving truck. Only, it wasn't for Karen. It was for me. Or so I thought. The truck idled outside my house like a steel beast waiting to devour everything I owned. Two guys in navy blue jumpsuits stood at the end of my driveway, holding a clipboard. "You Mr. Walker?" the taller one asked. I raised an eyebrow. "Yeah, why?" He checked the clipboard. "We're here to move you out. HOA eviction. Says urgent." I laughed. Not a nervous laugh. The kind of laugh you give when you realize the villain has finally tripped over her own delusion. "Let me guess," I said. "The order came from a Karen?" The guy shrugged. "Some lady in a visor. Said you'd be uncooperative and might try to resist." I smirked. "I'm not resisting. I'm recording." I whipped out my phone, flipped on the camera, and zoomed in on the clipboard. Sure enough, the eviction notice was a printout from a Word template with the HOA logo copy-pasted into the corner like a bad school project. I pointed. "This isn't a legal eviction. This isn't even a decent forgery. This is fraud." The movers looked at each other. The short guy muttered, "Man, I told you this was sketchy." Meanwhile, across the street, Karen stood behind her hydrangeas watching the scene unfold like a reality show villain waiting for her confession cam. But what Karen didn't know was that I had already called the city the day before, after getting wind of her latest nonsense from Jen. They'd been investigating unauthorized HOA actions, and Karen's name had popped up more than once. And guess who else was coming by today? The mayor. Yep, that mayor. Mayor Trudy, our neighborhood's most unlikely ally and a proud muffin judge from last week's bake-off. Apparently, she'd seen the QR code video and laughed so hard she emailed me personally to schedule a casual neighborhood walkthrough. So when her shiny black SUV pulled up right behind the fake mover's truck, I almost felt bad for Karen. Almost. Mayor Trudy stepped out wearing a pantsuit so sharp it could slice through Karen's denial. She gave me a big smile and a bigger wink. "Mr. Walker," she said, "I heard there were unauthorized eviction attempts and HOA overreach. I thought I'd swing by before it made the papers." Karen, realizing what was happening, came marching over in a blazer and pearls like she was running for president of a country that only exists in her head. "Mayor Trudy," she sang, voice suddenly syrupy. "I wasn't expecting you." Trudy turned slowly, eyes narrowing. "Karen, dear, did you file an eviction notice without legal grounds?" Karen's smile froze. "Of course not. I simply encouraged him to consider relocation due to his disruptive presence." The mayor tilted her head. "Was that before or after you hired a moving company using forged HOA documentation?" Karen turned red. "There must be a misunderstanding. I only—" Trudy cut her off. "We're opening an investigation into your leadership practices. I've received 6 complaints in the past week, including misuse of power, false fines, and now impersonating legal action." Evan, filming from my porch, whispered, "We just witnessed a public execution." The movers, realizing they'd been hired into a drama bigger than any soap opera, quickly packed up and peeled off. Karen tried one last move, the victim sob story. "I'm being targeted," she cried. "This is a coordinated attack on my position." Trudy raised an eyebrow. "No, Karen. This is accountability. Pack your things." And with that, the mayor walked toward my porch and took a muffin from the tray I'd set out. Still the best muffins in the HOA, she said. Karen stood frozen on her own lawn, dethroned, depowered, and very, very silent for once. But the story's not over just yet. Because what I found in Karen's trash 2 days later changed everything. 2 days after the mayor publicly handed Karen her ego on a platter, things were oddly quiet. Too quiet. No Alexa at 3 a.m. No threatening flyers taped to my mailbox. No surprise inspections of my lawn length. Karen had vanished into her house like a disgraced royal hiding from the tabloids. But then came trash day. I was walking my dog Sir Barks a lot when I noticed something weird. Karen's trash bins were overflowing. Not just with the usual guilt-flavored wine bottles and HOA meeting notes scrawled in angry red pen. No, this was different. There were folders. Lots of them. Curiosity got the best of me. And yes, I checked for cameras first. I learned from her. Inside the top folder was a document labeled Project Harmony, HOA Behavioral Correction Initiative. I blinked. That sounded like something straight out of a dystopian novel. It got worse. The documents detailed a secret HOA surveillance plan led by Karen to collect behavioral data on every household in the neighborhood. Complaints were fabricated to justify audio monitoring and Alexa. That wasn't just her being careless. She'd set it up to accidentally trigger in houses nearby through frequency manipulation. She wasn't just spying, she was trying to gaslight the entire neighborhood. There were charts on noise, offenders, fake eviction templates with names filled in, even a potential sabotage checklist. Under my name, it read, Dog too loud? Bake-off revenge threat? Possibly tied to city council caution. I almost laughed. Karen had built a cold case file on me. The next folder nearly made me drop the whole pile. It was labeled Blackmail Assets. Inside were screenshots of neighbors' social media posts, Amazon purchases, even someone's DoorDash history. It was all there. Karen had been using the HOA as her personal data mining machine. And now, thanks to a week of public humiliation, she'd thrown it all away like it couldn't burn her. But guess what? It could. I took the files straight to the city. Not copies. Originals. The city attorney's office nearly fell out of their chairs. They'd suspected Karen of overreach, but this was Watergate in cul-de-sac form. The investigation went public the next day. News vans parked by the HOA entrance like sharks circling a yacht party. The mayor held a press conference and used words like violations of privacy, community betrayal, and my personal favorite, Alexa warfare. Karen came outside mid-broadcast in a bathrobe and sunglasses, hissing like a vampire caught in sunlight. It was for the good of the community, she shouted. I was trying to keep order. Reporters chased her down the driveway. Neighbors watched from their porches, sipping coffee like they were at brunch theater. Within hours, the HOA board voted to remove Karen permanently and suspend all HOA operations until a full audit was complete. Her reign was officially over. The neighborhood? We threw a block party that weekend. No permits, no approval forms. Just speakers blasting Cardi B and a crowd chanting Alexa, play Karen's downfall. As for me, I got a letter the next week. Official city seal. It said I'd been nominated to help form a new, community-led council. Apparently, exposing corruption earns you brownie points and muffins help too. Karen? She moved out a month later. But not before Alexa randomly started playing Loser by Beck every morning at 6 a.m. We'll never know who programmed it. But I have a good idea.